I've had this goofy idea stuck in my head for quite some time now. What if garbage animated itself into a vaguely human form and then set out on a vengeful quest to search for the person who threw it all away? If a concept sticks around in my little noggin long enough, it's gonna hatch in some way or another, which is why I decided to do a little VFX test based around this idea. Behold. Now this test, it isn't great, but that's why these things are called tests. Spoiler alert, I did fix it, but you'll have to hang around a little bit longer to see the final result. Now, what's the point of putting so much time and effort into something like this? Well, if I were to turn this concept into a feature or short film in some way, I would want to know for a fact that I could pull off the VFX before I got anywhere near production. That means hitting all the roadblocks and obstacles in the comfort of my own home. As a result of this first test, I ran into some easily avoidable brick walls. Let's go through my process before I show you the final shot. Hopefully, if you ever decide to make something along similar lines, this will help you avoid some of my mistakes. Lucky you. First thing I did was collect trash for several weeks, cleaning, painting over logos and greenish bits, then tying them all up with brown camo fishing line. Here was my plan. Assemble a library of trash elements by first shooting a clean plate of my hallway, then shooting myself in a morph suit, slowly standing and taking several steps with the trash fishing line resting over my shoulder, tied to the doorknob behind me. In my estimation at the time, the extraction in Nuke would involve two major steps. First, key the morph suit. Boom, done. Second step, use a difference mask to separate the trash from the background. Well, here we come to the first major flaw in my planning. A difference mask compares two shots and generates an alpha mask based on what's changed between the two. So, theoretically, we could take footage of the hallway with nothing there and compare it to the same unchanged angle of the hallway with the garbage in it, and it would generate a decent alpha I could use to separate those elements, right? Wrong. Part of the problem was that I didn't know enough about difference masks to know that this would not work. I shot this test with the best camera I own, a Canon Rebel. The resulting footage wasn't super great, but that's also probably partly user error. There was a lot of resulting grain and noise in the final footage, which kinda defeats the whole purpose of comparing two shots to see what's different. You know what's different between these two shots? A lot of different noise. This setback resulted in a ton of painstaking roto, which means hand animating cutouts for each and every piece of trash. Not fun. Adding insult to injury was the fact that a very simple solution existed that I could have used. If I'd just thrown a green screen over the door behind me, a green screen I own and easily could have used if I'd thought of it, then the lighting would have still been a perfect match from the trash to the original hall plate, and all I would have had to do is a simple green screen / morph suit key with maybe some roto to spot fix rather than relying on roto as the primary means of separation. Well, time for pain. I powered through a stupid amount of roto as quickly as possible. Spoiler, was not quick. I then tried to composite everything in a way that looked halfway decent, and voila! We have a finished test. Except we don't. The movements don't indicate it being made of trash because it doesn't have a lot of weight and synergy to it. Some parts just kind of have a mind of their own, while others are working together pretty well. Additionally, the locked-off nature of the camera just isn't very dynamic. This exaggerates any shoddy roto or mediocre compositing. There's something about a little bit of camera movement that instantly tricks the eye into believing what it's seeing, and not a low-effort 2D camera shake node. While that can help in moderation, it's no match for a slight camera move in 3D space. Additionally, my hallway location just wasn't selling much in the way of an ominous vibe. The whole thing feels kind of cheap and student filmy. How did I come to these conclusions? Painfully, by asking honest people around me what they thought of it. I was done with this test. I'd put so much time into that roto and I was bored to tears of the exercise. I think I had convinced myself that it looked pretty good because, well, compared to what it was before, this is an improvement, right? Unfortunately, improvement does not translate to quality and boredom does not translate to completion. Once I'd gotten crucial feedback from people I trusted, it was back to the drawing board. Now this was still VFX test number 1 in reference to the concept. I was still looking for ways to use all the work I'd done without shooting all new footage. Going back that far would be, to me anyways, the beginning of a brand new test, and while I want to learn from my mistakes, I think that even a test should result in a cool looking piece. Frankly, I didn't even have that yet. So what could I do with what I've got? Well, the easiest thing to fix would be the presentation, so I made a quick matte painting, then set it up in 3D space in Nuke. That one sentence should be its own video, maybe I'll get to that in the future. Next, I reworked how the creature moves, giving it a better sense of cohesion and weight. Previously, there were too many elements going in different directions, and I didn't want to try a bunch of speed ramping to wrestle them into the right place, because frankly, I don't have any experience in that. Instead, I separated the clusters as much as possible and animated some transforms to keep them better aligned with the main body. I think that's a little better at least. Now to get this creature into the matte painting world. Half the battle is choosing a nice, subtle camera movement that sells the shot without drawing attention to itself. The danger with CG cameras is you can do anything with them, so people often have camera moves that are way too wild and big. They end up distracting from the subject matter. Once everything is roughly working together, it's time for some integration. Carving light and shadow into this fella wasn't super easy, and it involved hacking into some layer alphas with yet more rotos, but I think it kinda worked out. To keep the environment from feeling too lifeless, I followed a super helpful tutorial on Nuke's particle system for some fun dust motes. Check it out if you're interested. It's cool and fun. I also threw in some atmosphere, additional color correction, and finishing touches over top of all of this. Now we take the final render, add some eerie atmospheric music on top of these sound effects I'd already recorded, and we have a completed test shot. Again. Even though it took way too long and I made far too many easily avoidable mistakes, I am proud of where this test ended up. Here is the full list of major lessons I learned and what I would do differently for a second test. 1. Shoot morph suit elements against a green screen. Heck, given that I changed the location entirely by the end, just shoot the whole thing on a green screen. 2. Start the matte painting or make final concept art before shooting the plate. This would let me match the lighting of the digital environment on the green screen setup much better. 3. Create a movement soundtrack for on-set use when shooting green screen elements. Having a guide that literally says, take a step, stop, turn, etc. would ensure that all my elements have the same synergy in weight built into it. No animated transforms and time remapping needed if everything moves together the way it was meant to from the start. Well, despite a bumpy start, I learned a lot, and I hope you did too. Don't forget to separate your organics, cardboard, and recycling from your regular refuse. Until next time, stay trashy.